Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Jaime Munguia defeats Sergiy Derevyanchenko in what was arguably the fight of the year. I think so far it has been the fight of the year. Absolutely tremendous battle between both men. Razor close, super tight, back and forths, both guys were hurt, Derevyanchenko got dropped towards the end. Tremendous fight. And I've seen a few people throw around the term robbery when talking about this fight, but I disagree. I felt Munguia just about shaded it. Quite frankly, it was one of those, in my opinion at least, one of those rare occasions where the judges got it spot on. And it was a fight where Munguia had to come back from behind because going into round 11, I had him down in this fight. He needed to do something big, and that's exactly what he did. He dominated round 11, hurt Derevyanchenko several times, and he drops Derevyanchenko in round 12 to win him the fight. Jaime Munguia is an interesting character in boxing. I get the frustration surrounding Munguia. You know, he could have fought Demetrius Andrade, he never did. He could have fought Yanibek Alamkhanuly, he never did. He's turned down certain fights, and for that, of course, he should be criticised. But this narrative that, like, Munguia offers nothing to boxing is a little bit, I don't know, I don't see it. Every time I see Munguia fight, regardless of who he's fighting, I always find myself being extremely entertained. It's refreshing to see a fighter just go in there and let it all hang out. He doesn't fight like a complete pussy. He brings violence to the equation. He throws a lot of punches. He takes risks. Yes, he's got his vulnerabilities, but to me, Munguia is fastly becoming one of the most entertaining fighters in boxing. And yes, a step up is needed. We want to see Munguia fight one of the champions. I agree. And quite frankly, I think the middleweight division needs that because middleweight right now is a bit of a wasteland. It's disappointing. So yeah, Munguia needs to step up. He does. But again, I watched that fight and I was enthralled from start to finish. I really was. And I think it was really good matchmaking by Golden Boy because Derevyanchenko's a guy who obviously had a great amateur pedigree. He's always had a lot of skill, and now he is slightly past his best, there's no doubt. But, you know, given his style, given Munguia's style, it matched out really well, and it made for a tremendous fight. I do kind of feel for Sergiy Derevyanchenko. It does feel like he's really been fed to the wolves in boxing, you know. But it is what it is. I mean, Derevyanchenko himself has to be commended because, again, every time I see this guy take big fights, he's always entertaining. So big up to Derevyanchenko as well. And his fight with Munguia was amazing, in my opinion. It's weird to me how somebody can see a fight like that and then just be so negative about it. It's like, bro, I mean, if you're not pumped up after watching that sort of fight, then get your testosterone checked. We need more fighters like Munguia in regards to style in boxing. Guys who just entertain. Guys who just bring violence to the equation. And that's exactly what Munguia does. And when he does step up, should he win, lose or draw, he's going to follow the same approach. It's that simple. And yeah, I would take him to lose against someone like Yanibek Alamkhanuly, for example, but if you believe Alamkhanuly is going to go in there and have it all his own way, I think you're sorely mistaken. I really do. Same goes for Jermall Charlo as well. But we need to see him in that sort of fight, I get it. Ultimately, I think the worst thing Munguia did was winning that title at 154 pounds. He picked up that title against Saddam Ali as a late replacement, and honestly I don't think he was ever ready to hold a world title. He was still developing as a world champion at 154, fighting less than stellar competition. When you're a champion, you can't be developing while you have a title. That was one of Munguia's biggest mistakes, funnily enough in my opinion, was fighting for that title so early because it put a lot of expectation on his shoulders. I think he would have been better suited to never have gone for that title. And after he vacated it and went to 160, I think that's what we've been seeing from Munguia. He's now taking those sort of development fights at 160 that he couldn't get away with at 154, that he was getting criticised for. So the fact that he's not a champion, he's taking these sort of fights, I don't really have as big a problem with it as many people do. But yeah, at a point in time, yes, of course, Munguia does need to step up, and I think the time is now. I think he's had those development fights at 160, guys like Turiano Johnson, Spike O'Sullivan, Gabe Rosado, now Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Those are good development fights, but now I agree. It's time for Munguia to step up, I would say. We're talking a Jamal Charlo, we're talking Yanibek Alim Kanuli, those sort of guys. Those are the sort of fights I want to see from Munguia in the foreseeable future, in the near future. Those are the sort of fights I want from Munguia, but I've got to say, man, this guy's becoming one of the most entertaining fighters in boxing, so I'll take what I can get. I see far too many fighters these days pussyfoot around, and it almost seems at times like a lot of these fighters don't let it all hang out in the ring, whereas at least with Munguia, I know I'm going to get that regardless of who he fights. So I'm trying to take a positive approach on it, a positive spin on it. I don't know, man. I just see in 2023 a lot of fighters forgetting that boxing is a spectator sport and entertainment is important, and Munguia delivers that. Again, as for the fight with Derevyanchenko, it really was back and forth. Both guys got hurt numerous times in this fight. 2 or 3 occasions Munguia got badly hurt by Derevyanchenko's left hook. In the exchanges, Derevyanchenko's left hook was really paying dividends, you know, hurting Munguia. But, you know, Munguia would come back with his own work, some great shots to the body. The right hand would constantly pierce the guard of Derevyanchenko. The uppercut was a good shot, actually, for Munguia. In my mind, he wasn't using it enough, but the uppercut actually proved dividends late on, because in round 11, man, Derevyanchenko got badly hurt by a Munguia uppercut to the head. And in round 12, Munguia dropped Derevyanchenko with a body shot. I'm not going to talk about the fight too much in depth. If you've not seen it, go and watch it, because it is one of the best fights of the year. In my opinion, the best fight of the year so far. Back and forth, both guys were hurt. Munguia drops Derevyanchenko in round 12 to win the fight, because going into round 11, he was losing, but Munguia, dominant round 11, dominant round 12. He pulled it out the fire, so credit to him. But yeah, I would agree, time to step up. But at the same time, I think we should appreciate what Munguia brings to the table. People forget boxing is a spectator sport. It's about entertainment. Boxing primarily is violence, right? It's combat. And Munguia brings that to the table. If you don't like it, go down the clinic, get a blood test, check your testosterone, and lay off the soy lattes, I would say. Peace out.